CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the Men's Basketball Championship is sponsored by V for Vendetta, Lowe's, Advanced Auto Parts, and by Pontiac.
At halftime, the Orange find themselves in a familiar position, backs against the wall, trailing by 9 to Texas A&M. As you look at the numbers, again, the glaring factor here, McNamara without a field goal, only 2 points at the free throw line. Tim Brando along with Stephen Bardo and Mike Jaminski, our finale here in Jacksonville. And Mike, I'm sure you're as impressed as I am with Texas A&M. They have truly been outstanding.
They've done a number of things well. They've just defended extraordinarily well. They've shot the three. They've got offensive rebounds. And I think the big key, only 6 turnovers for the Aggies, Stephen.
And the Aggies have done a really good job defensively, holding the starting backcourt of Syracuse, McNamara, Devendorf, and Nichols 2 of 10 shooting, only 6 points. So really forcing the big men to carry the load.
If you think about it, and that groin problem that had been with McNamara the last 2 or 3 weeks, and then the quick turnaround and long travel after 4 straight games, that may be part of it, but in truth, Texas A&M has just been up in his chin throughout the entire night. As we open the second half, this is a Texas A&M team that hasn't been in the NCAA tournament since 1987, and Billy Gillespie's club doing it with its signature defense to get a 9-point lead at the break. And Carter and Roberts leading the way. From a scoring standpoint, it'll be very interesting to see how McNamara tries to get himself involved in the Syracuse offense here in the second half. Look at Law, just stay with it even after the deflection by Syracuse. Law for 3. Off the front iron, tapped out to Devendorf.
And if the first half is any indication, Timmy, a 9-point lead is a big lead in this type of game.
Watkins gets caught in a tie ball, but Law picks up the foul. Player control. That's Law's 3rd foul, and that's important to Billy Gillespie. Not too many answers for him with Laws in trouble.
And he joins Dominique Kirk with 3 personal fouls as well.
Josh Wright bringing it up for Syracuse.
Characteristic there of AC Law, out of control. And as you said, Tim, that's a critical foul for A&M. Have to get him out of the game.
Texas A&M plays a lot of people, but not many that are as good as Law in the backcourt. McNamara really not close, and not much lift, Mike, in that jump shot.
Yeah, he's just been grimacing, and it just looks like one of those games where everything is all the fatigue, the injuries, and it's all kind of coming to a head for McNamara. He just can't seem to get anything going.
Well, someone will have to pick him up emotionally. He did so much verbally to lead his team, much more so than Syracuse fans had seen throughout the course of the year. Another foul spotted, that time Wright getting involved over in the corner. Here's that lift we're talking about, or lack thereof.
Yeah, and he's not a guy who's really going to rise up and shoot, but certainly when your legs go, the first thing that goes is your jump shot, especially a 3-pointer. And he's desperately trying to do something to spark his team.
He got a pretty good look that time. I believe it was, I don't remember who that was on the pick that freed him, but they're really trying to look for him in the half court.
Carter off the front iron. Look at Josh Wright motor. That's the guy that can pick him up. You guys talked about his energy. There's an example of it right there.
Right, and with him and McNamara, at least it takes the ball handling responsibilities away from McNamara and let him maybe concentrate on scoring a little bit more.
Boy, Jones has been instructed to look weak side once he catches the ball in the paint.
Saved. Nice job by Walker.
You know, just things like that, that kid does for this ball club.
That's what you call a powerless forward move there by Walker. So very strong for this team. So many times coaches have to deal with effort in a season, and I dare say Billy Gillespie rarely has to coach effort.
Oh no, and just their practices and their preseason conditioning allow them to come out and play with the energy and heart that you see right now.
Roberts missed an opportunity to feed Darrell Watkins, and Jim Boeheim's very upset about it. Syracuse really not sharing the ball as well as he'd like. Down on the low post. Texas A&M, though, struggling offensively themselves.
You see A&M will get real patient here with the lead.
Oh, Jones sweeping jump hook in the lane. And the lead back to 9. Right where they were at halftime.
And he's a guy who has a tendency to get in foul trouble, Tim, but against this zone, he's played at high post as a passer, but when he lurks along the baseline, he's found scoring opportunities.
Roberts.
Boy, nice play. Rubbing off the screen and Roberts ducking in. Good job by Syracuse getting the bucket when they needed it most.
Look at that. 37 field goals to only 24 for Syracuse. Yeah, that's an old hockey stat. More shots on goal generally means you're going to be successful.
Well, that's you know, South Alabama in the prior game, their philosophy to get more possessions, to get more shots up. But there you see the offensive rebound. Both teams shooting about the same percentage, so the mathematics works that if you get more attempts up, you're probably going to have the lead, especially when Syracuse shooting 1 of 9 from behind the arc.
Notice the deliberate approach now, A&M. Trying to shorten the game up a little bit with each possession.
Good pass baseline over to Walker and a follow by Kavalauskas. No block out from the Syracuse interior.
You get misses and you have to clean it up and go down the other end. Syracuse unable to do that throughout this game.
You notice how Syracuse has even slowed down their half-court attack, have kind of fallen into the rhythm of A&M.
Roberts wanted a foul, did not get it. You think of the toughness in the Big East, and 8 teams, a record number of Big East teams in the NCAA. It's been a rough day for that conference both this afternoon and tonight. And frankly, right now, A&M out-toughing Syracuse, particularly in the low block and on the glass. Another great pass interior. Would have counted had it gone. Excellent dime dropped by Dominic Kirk inside to Joseph Jones. Timeout. Antonis Kavalauskas. The Aggie from Lithuania being heard from on the glass. Welcome back to Jacksonville. We're in the Atlanta bracket, first round. Take a look at our tournament summary. Gonzaga defeating Xavier. Adam Morrison had 35. The Big East 0 for 2 today. Seton Hall beaten by Wichita State, and Alabama took out Marquette. Syracuse in trouble here. And frankly, if they don't find a way to get Jerry McNamara an opportunity to some easy baskets, he has never gone through a game without a field goal. Think about it, 134 games entering today, has never had a game without a field goal.
Well, I doubt we're going to see that tonight, but A&M has really done a good job of limiting his opportunities and forcing someone else to beat them, similar to what we saw in the game previous to this, where LSU clamped down a little bit on those guards from my own.
Well, you can see where fatigue has really played a role. Since the UConn win in the quarterfinals, they beat Georgetown 58-57, and then Pitt in the championship game 65-61. So low-scoring games since that time. And this one certainly is shaping up like that.
Unlike LSU, though, Syracuse, a team that relies so heavily on that 2-3 zone, And the pace of play is such that it might be at times more difficult. There you see the hoop and the harm. Watkins running the curl and got the special delivery in the lane.
He was terrific in the Big East tournament. He had 11.5 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks in that run. So a big contributor. You know what? That last little section, I saw that Jerry McNamara had a little bit of explosiveness in his step. He looked a little different. Let's see how he goes out.
4 fouls on Dominic Kirk.
Kirk is the primary defender on McNamara, so maybe Jerry can shake free here while Kirk is on the bench.
He's getting on the way back, went to each of his teammates, gave him a little pat, got him a little fired up.
It's been said of Darrell Watkins, he's got a Big East body with the mind of a shooting guard. Jim Boeheim's had a few of those in his day. Shot clock winding down again near 10. Oh, nice pass. Again, Kavalauskas looking inside to Joseph Jones. 41-31.
I don't know if that deliberate sign, if you keep getting results, that's fine. But if that bails out Syracuse a little bit and helps them save their legs going down the stretch.
Yeah, but it's demoralizing when you play defense that long and then look at this, just pick you apart with 2 passes for an easy deuce underneath.
High-low action between the 2 bigs. Good stuff.
At this time of the year, you really notice the teams that have chemistry. McNamara and company had that in the Big East as he dumps it off to Terrence Roberts. He and Roberts developed that last week during that 4-game stretch after that abysmal effort in Chicago against Jerry Wainwright's DePaul team, losing by 39. And just watching Texas A&M, you can really tell these guys like each other.
Well, and consider, too, the last 2 possessions for Syracuse dunks inside.
Jones. Not there. Demetrius Nichols with the rebound.
Good job by Wright. Looked like he was in trouble that time. Secured the basketball and gave his team a chance here in the half-court set.
Wing jumper gets the side of the backboard, and then a bailout foul given up by the Aggies. Monday on CSI Miami, an agent puts everyone's lives at risk in a new episode of the mega hit drama Monday on CBS, America's #1 network. Antonis Kavalauskas getting the foul is first. Oh, bad pass.
Wow. Did you see the lack of effort in McNamara to try to get that inbounds pass? That was a little strange, Mike.
Well, I just think, you know what, he may just be reluctant to make a quick lateral move with that groin to, you know, to thinking that it might aggravate him. May just be sitting there in the back of his head.
Certainly uncharacteristic of him. I agree with you, Stephen.
Yeah, it's a young man with more fight in his heart than anybody in America. And see him give up on a play. Mike was probably right on with that injury.
Law runs it down. Texas A&M able to extend it. Dig into that shot clock a bit more. Shorten the game, in effect, with the offensive rebounds. Here's Walker for 3.
They are precise here in the second half in the half-court offense. Every single time that they move the ball around and wait late in the shot clock, they get a good look.
9 in the game for Walker. McNamara. Well, the iron unkind to Jerry McNamara all night long. Still unable to hit a field goal. And Chris Walker, one-time intramural player in College Station in the NCAAs.
Greg Clark and Seth in New York. Update time. We'll get you back in just a moment after we check in first in Salt Lake City, where San Diego State is leading the Indiana Hoosiers, but there's plenty of time remaining in the second half.
Well, San Diego State is playing really well offensively. The Hoosiers have been unable to stop them here in this second half. The lead was 3 at the break, and they've added 3 more to that 3-point cushion here in the first few minutes of the second half.
Indiana's guards came off at the beginning of this game, played really well, and then they settled down a little bit, and San Diego State's front court athleticism took over. And I'll tell you what, their freshman point guard, Richie Williams, having himself a very nice game, certainly not intimidated by the circumstances.
It's one of those games that doesn't look like either game is going to be one of those runaway circumstances that Seth is so fond of.
Aztecs in my
He's been trying to get a bunch of teams to run away all night long. But you know what? San Diego State really grabbed control of this game. I thought late in the first half, when Marco Killingsworth had to sit out with 2 personal fouls, that's when they kind of took control. He's got to reestablish himself in the paint.
Meanwhile, in Greensboro, if there was a game that you were expecting to be a runaway, it isn't Southern and Duke, because the Jaguars are hanging around.
Well, as I said earlier, Greg, Duke is just not creating a lot of offense off of their defense, and that's been a problem for them. If they're going to want to sprint away from a team, they're going to have to be able to do it in transition. But, you know, this is not an overly athletic Duke basketball team. They don't really blow teams out that often, so I would expect Southern to hang around for a little while. Southern
has not hit 1 3-pointer in this game. Imagine if they had a couple so far.
No need to hit threes when you're knocking down 2s at a high rate. Getting into the paint, pseudo penetration for mid-range jump shots. You make enough of those, you'll stay tight.
I would assume there's a little bit of faith, though, that the Dukies are going to come around to form and eventually stretch this thing and be one of Seth's runaway winners.
Well, one of the things that happens with the team that's the heavy underdog, the longer they can kind of hang around, the more confidence they gain. And it becomes a little tougher for the higher seeded team.
You know, here's something else you notice, Clark. Duke having to play a long ACC tournament, BC having to play a long ACC tournament, and Syracuse playing 4 games in 4 days. Some of these teams that advance deep into their conference tournament, they have a little bit tired legs here at the start of this tournament.
Still plenty of time in this game, 17-15 to play in the second half. Take a look at those field goals. Duke 0 for 2. In the second half so far. It's a 4-point lead, and Southern looking to cut into that even more as the ball goes out of bounds. And the whistle on the court. We'll keep time for you, keep tabs on what's going on. Meanwhile, let's get you back to Jacksonville. Texas A&M against Syracuse. Once again, Tim, Mike, and Steven.
In a game that has featured tenacious defense from Texas A&M, Jim Boeheim's Big East tournament champions find themselves down by 10 to Billy Gillespie's squad with 10:13 remaining. It has been a textbook defensive effort on the part of the Aggies, and the bigger story here is that Jerry McNamara is obviously not himself. With no field goals to show for his night, he's trying to be an inspirational leader. That groin injury obviously giving him some trouble. He's been favoring it all night long. 0 for 4 for him, all from 3-point range.
And then the guy he was trying to pick up right there was Devendorf, because that's the 3-point shooter that's out on the floor for Syracuse.
Devendorf has struggled with his shot as well.
Nice job by Kavalauskas. Good decision to pull it back out. The possession of the ball is so important at this point for A&M.
10-6 in the Big 12. Many questioned their out-of-conference schedule as to whether they were worthy of an at-large bid, and they are certainly playing as if they've been here before. And the facts are they haven't. Texas A&M in their first NCAA tournament in almost 20 years. 1987, the last time they made a trip on the road to the Final Four, which, by the way, happened to be a year that Syracuse played for the national championship in New Orleans, losing to Indiana on the Keith Smart shot. Scramble situation. Syracuse right out of bounds as he slipped to the floor, so the Aggies will have it.
Every single time tonight, it seems Texas A&M is coming up with the loose balls. Right there, Walker doesn't give up.
Yeah, it's that kid too that's been making you know, Chris Walker been right there hustling the whole night. Timmy, you talk about this program and making inroads in a conference that is very top-heavy nationally, and Billy Gillespie seems to be undaunted by that fact. And when you're talking about the Texas and the Kansas of the world, Oklahoma, and to go in and accomplish what he has in a short time, astounding feat.
And he recognizes that teams like Oklahoma State, Iowa State are going to be there again. They just had difficult seasons this year. Demetrius Nichols pulls down the rebound. Syracuse, though, maintaining contact. They've been down by as many as 11. The Aggies, not necessarily the kind of team that can throw a knockout punch, but the Cuse has been close to being knocked out a time or two. Devendorf, a nice move on the bounce.
And a much better decision. You're struggling to score the ball. He had a notion, 5-second count.
Syracuse goes to the full court pressure, making a difference.
And Devendorf, was fouled at that point, had a notion to shoot the three, but instead got into the rim, got a layup, and as they're making shots, it allows them to get into their pressure.
And as this game has gone on and A&M has been so dominant, for Syracuse to have possession of the ball down 6, they've got to feel good about themselves at this point.
The faithful that have made their way down from upstate New York are standing, urging on with "Let's go Orange." Devendorf running the curl. Nice jump stop. Oh, that's sweet. That was McNamara-esque.
Yeah, I was going to say, he looks a little bit like his mentor sitting over on the bench.
This is now an 8-1 run for Syracuse.
Boy, that press has really worked wonders for Syracuse. A&M looks confused.
Not there. Very quick shot by Carter. And Jones is tagged over the back. Billy Gillespie disagrees.
Yeah, but that's not the shot you want in that instance. They spent the whole time running clock over the last 10 or 12 possessions, and then a quick three. You need to look a little bit better than that. But is this now a time, Stephen, where you've got a team who hasn't been here in 20 years in a program facing an Orange team that's been here a lot and has won a championship in the last 5 years?
Devendorf leaning in, has it rejected. Syracuse down by as many as 11, have clawed to within 4 with some full court pressure. Are only down by 4 against the Aggies. We'll be right back.
Great, another Mazda sales event.
With a killer lease on Mazda 3. That thing stomped my Civic.
And it's got more power and room than Civic, Sentra, and Corolla.
Are we the only ones worried about all this?
Apparently not.
Ach du Liebe.
What did he say?
It's the biggest Mazda's on the Move sales event yet. Lease a 2006 Mazda 3i for $189 a month for $30.
As you look at our game summary, if you had said to Jim Boeheim you'll only be down 4, hitting only 1 of 11 from three-point range, I think he'd say, I'd take it with this much time remaining, Mike. And right now, Devendorf seems to be taking over for an injured. And I think we can safely say that Jerry McNamara is injured.
No question, and he has picked up. And but also, I think if you're Billy Gillespie, you had to talk press offense in that huddle. They need to get organized, Stephen, on that end of the ball.
Yeah, they sped the game up. It was a half-court game for most of the second half, and with that pressure, they've picked up the pace. They've gotten some penetration, gotten Roberts and Watkins involved as well.
And Dominic Kirk picked up his 4th foul, Stephen. I think it really altered what Texas A&M could do defensively, too.
Yeah, I agree. And you want to keep Kirk on the best perimeter player. You have to adjust, bringing Carter in the game, and he's not quite as strong defensively.
Kavalauskas picks up the foul.
One more foul, and Syracuse will be in the penalty.
Devendorf to trigger it in. Well, Jerry McNamara, who lifted his team, now looking for some help from the younger players to keep his career alive. That's a walk. Jim Boeheim disagrees vehemently with that call as Demetrius Nichols is called for steps. That was a big possession, a chance to cut it to 2. Law with a little stutter step to Kavalauskas. Rushed it, turns into a pass off the glass from Law.
Let's see now if Texas A&M goes back into attack mode. They were running clock before, but that possession, they broke the press to score. I think they need to regain their aggressiveness offensively.
That was their first field goal, Mike, in 5 minutes. Devendorf in traffic. Forced that shot. And Jerry McNamara looking to come in on the next dead ball for Syracuse.
Dominic Kirk's got to be careful. He's got 4 fouls and was very aggressive on that defensive play.
Devendorf got him on the elbow. With NCAA March Madness on demand, you can watch live tournament games on your computer outside of your viewing area for free. Sign up now at ncaasports.com/MMOD.
You know, I made the point earlier about being deliberate. I'm a big fan of attacking when you have the lead, and I think we saw Milwaukee do that earlier today. They had a lead and they kept pressing and they extended and took control of that game. I just think it's difficult when you're attacking to get passive run clock. I mean, they were effective to a degree, but then now you find yourself in a situation where you got to relight that candle, and it's not easy to do sometimes.
Many times during the NCAA tournament, going from one round to another, from the first couple of rounds to the round of 16, we talk about the level of stage the players are on. For Texas A&M, this is as big a stage as they've ever been on. So mentally, you begin to wonder if they are looking at that clock a bit too soon.
Yeah, but these guys are warriors, and they've done it all year long. They're not going to really change their level of intensity. And Syracuse has just matched it.
Kavalauskas down.
Slowly trying to get up. What a tough young man he is. Billy Gillespie will have to send the trainer out.
And you see, it looks like they're wiping up. I think he might have gotten hit. It looks like there's maybe some stitches required. I think he got popped in the nose.
You expect to see that when you're playing Texas A&M. A lot of free-for-all underneath the basket.
Take a look at the play. Everybody going up.
I think it's on the back end here, yep.
Too many bodies in there to get a real good look at it.
He'll take a seat. And Josh Carter is back on the floor, the freshman. Jones is also out there, and coming into the game is Marlon Pompey to replace Kavalauskas.
Marlon Pompey, not a bad substitution at this point. Doesn't try to do anything outside of his offensive repertoire. Very good defender and will be active on the glass, so not a bad choice here.
Definitely had the blood on the uniform. I guess his Kavalauskas nostrils have something to do with that. Kavalauskas lobbying for playing time right now with Billy Gillespie along the sidelines as McNamara back in tries to make something happen. Goes to the offhand and is rejected. Roberts almost had his pocket picked. I fought the law, and that time the law didn't win, but more oftentimes than not, AC Law is just all over the place.
And this is your call. This is Pompey coming in with the long arms, moving well, getting the block.
Over 6 minutes left, and the lead is 8 for Texas A&M. The 12th seed trying to take out the 5 seed, and to become the second team to do that today. And that seeding, as you see Roberts using the glass.
Well, Roberts is so quick off his feet. You think you're in good position, but he's able to get off so fast. Has the advantage underneath.
Law with Carter, Dominic Kirk, Joseph Jones, and Marlon Pompey on the floor.
Shot clock.
Law tries to create on his own. Roberts the rebound. What was that you said, Stephen, about first one to 60? 5 and change remaining. That may be the magic number.
Well, points are hard to come by with such a good defensive squad.
Just not happening for Jerry. Ball was tapped out. Really a good hustle play by Nichols, but to no avail. Out of bounds, it belongs to the Aggies. And Josh Wright checks back in for Jerry McNamara.
The look on his face said it all after that jump shot. It's just your mind is trying to will your body into something it can't respond to.
The relationship between he and Jim Boeheim has always been good, but it really strengthened in that 4-game period at the Garden in New York. The way Jimmy had his back after all the criticism over the student newspaper and the Syracuse paper and the overrated comments. Their relationship really became even more solid.
2,000-point score, and he's won a national championship yet, so I'd like to be that overrated.
Wright, deep, don't blink. Josh Wright makes it a two-possession game, 49-45. He is the road runner for the Orange. Jim Boeheim wanted an offensive foul, didn't get it. Law to Kavaliauskas. And Watkins really with a good foul that time. They'll send Antonis to the free throw line where he's a 56% free throw shooter. Make him earn it there.
Good choice by AC Law to attack like you were talking about, Mike.
Well, I thought that was a shot, didn't you?
No, he was trying to dump it off to Jones.
Okay. It helps to have an extra set of eyes. I thought he was taking it to the rack. That inbounds play was perfect except for the execution. Wright can't hit. And you get a feeling if Syracuse can ever get this game tied, that it would really be trouble emotionally for Texas A&M.
And don't count Jerry McNamara out quite yet.
Yeah.
I'd like him in the last minute of this game.
You think? And Texas A&M, you get a feeling, Stephen, that they really are emotionally hanging on at this point.
Oh, definitely. And shot clock running down once again, and they're going to have to manufacture something here.
Jones. Tapped out by Kavaliauskas, but right into Josh's hands, and he'll wait for his offense to set up.
We talked about it. Last 3 minutes of an NCAA tournament game, shots are a little bit tougher to knock down.
The Hall of Famer, Jim Boeheim, recognizes it with a timeout. And we would like to welcome those of you just joining us. Timeout taken, a critical possession coming up for the Orange, who trail Texas A&M.
Yo.
Syracuse has cut it to 4. Now let's take a look at our Powerade power in the paint. And key man, they've done it with Roberts inside.
Terrence Roberts has come alive in this second half. 15 points, 7 rebounds for him, and he has gotten to the rim on a number of occasions.
They'll need more of that in the remaining 3:25. And what do you anticipate with McNamara out, Devendorf and Wright in the backcourt? This is obviously a critical possession. They've had a chance to cut it to 2 or 1 2 other times in the second half.
I said before, I think Jim Boeheim gets it with this group. If they can get it into the last minute tied, then Mr. McNamara comes back in and sees what he has left.
134 games, and he has never not had a field goal.
Right now, Syracuse is going to have to create as the shot clock is under 10.
Wright runs into a roadblock, gives it up to Watkins over Kavaliauskas. Roberts on the offensive boards, and there's going to be a foul inside. Over the back against Roberts. And Jim Boeheim in disbelief. 3 minutes remaining. We've seen that look from him before, haven't we? Wednesday on America's most watched news show, a vigilante strikes in a new episode of Criminal Minds. Wednesday on CBS, America's #1 network. Our game reset, the Aggies with a 2-possession lead. You see the timeout story. So it may take a while to play the last 3. Neither team in the double bonus, the possession arrow to Syracuse.
Well, as Texas A&M has come down the stretch, missed 10 of their last 11 shots. You'd like to see them get AC Law in a creative situation coming off the bounce where he can really use an assortment of floaters and runners that he has that we really haven't seen this evening.
Since going up by 11, Mike, A&M has scored only 6 points, make it 7 in the last 9 minutes.
We talked about the stage. This is the biggest stage, and so it's a big first test for this ball club.
And for the Orange, they've been here before. Recently. Devendorf in the backcourt with Wright, Roberts, Demetrius Nichols. There's the job from Devendorf, draining the tray. Suddenly, a 1-possession game.
Well, Walker had that knee surgery over the summer, and it looked like he froze him. A little shake that got Walker to stand up.
Kavalauskas is deep. There's the trailer Law over right.
Oh, man. What a shot with the offhand, trying to avoid the charge. That's A&M being aggressive like you were looking for, Mike.
Devendorf again. Well, that was well defended. Beautiful job by Chris Walker that time. Law again. Right back at you. AC is deucey, and the lead is up to 7. And Law telling those fans to get involved.
Well, he made the shot against Texas, and he's making the plays here at the end.
After the Texas win, he hugged his mom. He's looking for somebody to hug right now.
We did it for the clutch players. New beds, new lobbies. Courtyards changed it all for the go-to guys. Deeper mattresses, crisper sheets, wider open spaces with Wi-Fi, easy chairs, and freshly stocked 24-hour markets. All new, all for the players who suit up.
Already one upset here in Jacksonville earlier today. Wisconsin, Milwaukee, an 11 seed advancing in the Minneapolis bracket with a victory over Oklahoma, the Big 12, and now the conference brethren of the Sooners trying to return the favor to the beasts of the East. Last week's conference tournament champions in New York.
You got to think we're seeing a little bit of a passing of the baton here from McNamara to Josh Wright and Devendorf in the backcourt, and you wonder also if McNamara sitting over there next to Boeheim, if he's going to be a coach someday.
From way downtown, rattled home by Nichols, and a quick timeout taken by Syracuse. Don't go anywhere. It's a 2-possession game with 1:46 remaining. We welcome those of you that have just joined us. Aggies have led by as many as 11. We'll be right back to Jacksonville after this.
Hey, Fred, we need...
Oh, don't tell me. We need a whole new storage solution, need more capacity, better security. Ken wants recommendations on his desk ASAP.
How'd you do that?
I got the same email you did. I already called CDW. I took care of it.
Nobody responds like CDW. With fast answers to your technology questions, you get what you need when you need it. CDW. The right technology, right away.
Oh, Fred, don't tell me.
A look at our game reset. Tim Brando along with Stephen Bardo and Mike Jaminski. Again, Syracuse can still stop the clock, and that's important. The Big East 0-2 today. Marquette a loser. Seton Hall dropped by Wichita State. Alabama took out Tom Green's team, and now the full court pressure from the Qs. Carter goes over the top to Law.
Wow, what a press break. Almost like a fly pattern in football. No one back safety-wise for Syracuse. AC Law takes advantage.
Law has 10 of the last 12 points for Texas A&M.
Well, I thought Leifert took a little bit of a gamble on that too, Steve, but slowing up, and you run the risk of getting that shot clock.
And Jim Boeheim wants to extend the defense a bit. And the foul picked up by Roberts against Law. He needs to extend the game as best he can.
And this whole run almost never took place. I mean, the AC Law really came close to transferring when Billy Gillespie first got there. Those two did not hit it off very well.
He evidently had problems communicating.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that a young man that would be related to Ernie Banks would have trouble communicating, but he did. And a reminder, the winner of this game takes on LSU. He actually forced the practice to last longer. There were actually players from A&M that were saying, you got to start talking. 8-point lead for A&M. 1:15 and counting, and a turnover by Syracuse. The Aggies have total control now.
Well, A&M looks like they've weathered the storm. A solid job of attacking here in the last minute and a half, not settling for anything other than a layup.
But in Syracuse, you know, you give them credit for fighting the good fight. but they've relied so heavily on number 3, Mr. McNamara, and he has not been a part. He just has not been able to play today, and for them to, to hang this close, give them credit.
Our Chevrolet players of the game, AC Law from Texas A&M and Terrence Roberts of Syracuse, in recognition of their determination and outstanding play. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. America's brand supports America's best. Chevy, an American Revolution. Law, the last 10 Aggie points.
Well, as you mentioned, Mike, the passing of the torch.
Oh, how about that? That almost dropped through. That would have been an amazing bucket to hit from way downtown. Foul underneath. Yeah, Devendorf having to do so much. Wright having to do the same. And we're seeing history, guys. 134 games, and never has Jerry McNamara not had a field goal.
And again, you can't. Very few in the history of this sport have been able to script the way they go out. But this is not the way you want to see Jerry McNamara go out.
The pride of Scranton, Pennsylvania. And the introduction of a new program, perhaps, in NCAA tournament play, that being Texas A&M. Beginning in the second round, they can finally say, been there, done that.
Oh, Billy Gillespie, all season long, they talked about Texas A&M and the soft non-conference schedule. The fact they got into what was considered to be a lesser Big 12 conference, and really caught fire midway and culminated with a huge win at home over Texas on a last-second shot by AC Law.
I'm not even sure, Mike and Stephen, that they would have gotten into the tournament field, Texas A&M, had it not been for the way they competed in the Big 12 tournament game with Texas. I think a lot of people wanted to see that was no fluke, the game played in College Station, and they did play Texas very, very well in that game.
I'm a big believer in validating wins, and there are a lot of teams that have beaten top-ranked teams once and then lost a game they shouldn't, or have not followed through with that. And I think that Texas A&M certainly has validated that win and validated their selection.
Somewhere, Shelby Metcalf and people near and dear to him are making phone calls, and he's doing a lot of smiling. He was the longtime coach who meant so much to that program in the 70s and 80s. Timeout. 40 seconds remaining. The lead is 10. It is all about heart. Texas A&M playing with plenty of it. Dominic Kirk pounding that chest. Our game reset, only 40 ticks remaining. And simply nothing left in the tank for Jerry McNamara, and in many respects for this team. I think it's been a gallant effort in many respects defensively for Syracuse. And I believe we had a late whistle. Walker checking into the game, and they allowed some extra time. Kirk had some blood on his jersey, so he was forced to leave the game for a moment. So the officials now finally blow the whistle and get the ball in play. Quick foul by Darrell Watkins, and they'll send Jones to the free throw line, a 73% free throw shooter. Well, they've made their last 10 at the stripe, something you've got to do regardless of the size of the stage.
And what you notice if you look at Texas A&M right now, they're not jumping around and hugging or anything like that.
No.
Billy's, I'm sure, has told them, act like you've been here before and get a mindset that you expect to win these types of games. And Mike, as we look at this matchup coming in for Syracuse, this was really about as difficult style as they could face on tired legs.
Yeah, it just, you go back to, playing on Saturday and the run that they had and the trip down here, and a team that just extracts every ounce of energy just to manufacture points against them.
And Jim Boeheim was very concerned about that when he talked to us yesterday. Devendorf. Roberts on the glass. And they're going to say he was fouled on the way up to grab the jersey. Roberts was hoping for the bucket. A little continuation. He won't get it. Let's talk about Texas A&M matching up with LSU now in the second round. As tough as the Aggies are, and they actually are deeper than LSU, they have a lot of interchangeable parts. How do they deal with Davis, Thomas, Tasman Mitchell, and that incredible front line?
It starts down there, 94 feet, and they don't let them get to that point. I think they really pressure out on LSU's guards and make them break pressure.
So scramble them up.
Absolutely.
Well, that has been a problem in the past for John Brady's team. It was in this tournament a year ago against UAB.
All right, now Texas A&M in charge. Meanwhile, in Salt Lake City, 76-71, San Diego State over the Hoosiers. Ian Eagle and Jim Spanarkel are there.
Down to 4.5 remaining. Callaway the drive and puts it in with the left hand.
See, there's such a focus down deep to try to keep the ball away from Killingsworth right now. Indiana has multiple opportunities from the perimeter, try to go by people. The shot blockers are just too busy watching Killingsworth.
76-73, San Diego State, the 11th seed in front of the Hoosiers. Abukar way outside. What a game he's had. 20 points, 8 boards.
Trying to get it down deep to Slaughter. They're going to go high-low if they can.
The little point guard, Richie Williams, really got the Aztecs started here tonight. Shot clock is down to 4. Inside. Spain has it stripped away. Lead feed for Callaway. Driving in on Abukar. Stops. Layup. Yes, sir. And a foul.
Well, what a read by himself coming down the floor. Twisting and turning and trying to get the defender to commit. And finally, Diz did and really ended up going and creating his own opportunity.
Callaway going to the line when we come back.
The thrill of white knuckle driving obviously came from someone with white knuckles.
Great day, let's break.
Here in Salt Lake City, a look at the Oakland bracket. Earlier tonight, Gonzaga struggled against Xavier. The number 3 Bulldogs, though, survive and advance to the second round. They'll meet the winner of this one between San Diego State and Indiana. Foul trouble, big part of the story here tonight. Spain and Slaughter now, 4 each for the Aztecs. Killingsworth is playing with 4. Strickland, who suffered a shoulder injury, out on the floor with 3 personals for Indiana.
And the decisions have gotten much better for Indiana as this game has progressed over the last 6 or 8 minutes. They have really attacked much better, especially when they got to the bonus situation. They were really blending it pretty nicely with down-low play, getting Killingsworth involved, and then the perimeter guys still smart enough to go after people.
And Earl Callaway has been a big reason for the comeback. He has scored 6 of the last 8 Indiana points. Chance to tie it. All knotted at 76 apiece. Indiana and San Diego State with 3:37 to go in this second half. And a knockaway. Indiana comes up with a turnover. Callaway on the bounce. And the denial. Wilmot got it blocked from behind by Abukar.
Oh, was that ever a terrific reaction by Abukar right here, because he's out of position to start with, but then his quick turn and reaction for a clean block to save a bucket.
We thought this was an even matchup coming in, and it has turned out to be. Off the deflection, San Diego State comes up with it. Count it, a 3.
Boy, a mistake taking the basketball out of bounds right there, and San Diego State really makes Indiana pay for that mistake.
79-76, Aztecs. We come up on 3 minutes to play. Heath the step in, and the steal.
Well, that was a lazy pass by Vaden, and trying to get it down low to Killingsworth.
Off the lob, Abukar sells it, and he draws the foul.
You see Heath coming down the floor. He gets Vaden to bite just a little bit on that one little delayed hesitation dribble, and knocks down a long one.
Vaden called on his 3rd foul. 18 fouls against Indiana. Abukar, excellent free throw shooter, 1 and 1. He nails the first. Coming up Wednesday on America's most watched new show, a vigilante strikes in a new episode of Criminal Minds. That's Wednesday on CBS, America's #1 network. Second attempt for Mohamed Abukar, the transfer from Florida. He nails a pair. And San Diego State opens up a 5-point lead with 2:52 remaining here in Salt Lake City. Aztecs making their free throws in this second half, 8 of 10 from the line. Strickland feeds the post.
Killingsworth, though, gets 3 people coming in his direction.
And the scrape called against San Diego State. Heath came over to help as Abukar was dealing with him.
Yeah, the thought process for Indiana right now is they're trying to get this guy Killingsworth the touches down low. But you can bet on it that San Diego State is going to keep running at least 1, if not 2 bodies. So the perimeter players for Indiana better be ready to either catch and shoot or catch and put the ball on the floor.
And the free throw doesn't go for Killingsworth. Mike Davis announcing his resignation. Since that time, Indiana has gone 5-2. They've looked much more comfortable out on the court. Davis said it was the best thing for the program, best thing for the team, the players, because they had to hear about the coach's future every day. He wanted to put an end to that as Killingsworth misses on both free throws.
And plus he has to stay on the floor at the defensive end also with his 4 fouls, so he's got to be careful. They were going to try to do a offense-defense substitution if he made that.
And a steal. What a second half for Earl Calloway, the native of Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, he'd take that right off the floor on that bounce pass.
Killingsworth kicked out. Here's Calloway. We approach 2 minutes to play in a 5-point game. And the reach-in by Williams. That's number 4 on the San Diego State point guard, and it will send Killingsworth back to the free throw line.
This is where he has to convert. I mean, time is starting to waste away. 2:08 left. A little bit of a reach-in by Williams. He's so quick. Pretty good call, though, when you're reaching in there.
Marco Killingsworth just missed on a pair. Double bonus now. 10 team fouls against San Diego State. Killingsworth, the senior, knocks down the first.
A way to pull yourself back together again. Mike Davis understanding how difficult it is to come right back to that line when you've just missed a pair. Big shot right here, though. He has to concentrate and finish this one off.
Killingsworth gets them both.
And now they get the opportunity to do the offense-defense substitution.
18 points for Killingsworth. And Indiana now down by 3. San Diego State, the 11th seed in the Oakland bracket.
A good decision here to come full court also.
Aztecs have never won an NCAA tournament game. That one comes off the rim. Out of bounds, Abukar. And Indiana gets it back in a 1-possession game.
That little decision by Mike Davis to come up and extend the floor defensively kind of got Heath going a little bit quicker than I think Steve Fisher really wanted that set. We've seen him make that floater go into the basket, but right about there, you may want to pull that out and get a better look.
Indiana back on offense, so Killingsworth back on the floor with 1:45 to go. San Diego State 81, Indiana 78 for the tie. That's an air ball for Strickland. And a foul called as Slaughter was holding on to the ball. Wilmot tried to dig in and knock it free. And Slaughter goes to the free throw line. He's a 76% shooter. That is the 9th team foul against Indiana. So 1-1 for Marcus Slaughter. One of the premier players on the West Coast.
And this is where Indiana has to keep thinking miss right here at the line. Be prepared to box out and get the errant shot if he does miss.
Slaughter. He missed it.
There you go.
And it's rebounded by Vaden.
It's a basic, but it keeps your chances alive.
Pump fake, Strickland. Indiana down by 3. 1:24 counting left. Calloway kicked out. Strickland straight away. Back of the iron, rebounded by Calloway. Here's Wilmot putting it on the floor. No call, contact, and Wilmot finds himself all alone for the layup. It's a one-point game.
Boy, had the same type of opportunity against Ohio State the other day, didn't he, where he missed the leaner in that game against Ohio State, and he kind of finds his way through the baseline that trip.
81-80. San Diego State leads it. Under a minute to go. Jumper. He way off the mark. Abukar fighting for it.
Oh, I don't know about the decision there by Heath again.
And a foul call against Indiana.
And here's the step through. Wilmot coming across, and then all of a sudden he says, hey, nobody's guarding me. I just might as well turn and put the ball in the basket from close range.
So Strickland called on the foul, his fourth. Abukar at the free throw line. Both teams double bonus with 51 seconds left. He is 4 for 4 from the line tonight. The San Diego native nails the first. Foul trouble, Indiana, Killingsworth, Strickland, 4 apiece. San Diego State, Williams, Spain, and Slaughter, each with 4. And a timeout here in Salt Lake. We're coming down to the wire once again. Diego State 51.3 showing on the clock, and a second free throw coming for junior Mohamed Abukar, and a chance to extend the lead to 3 over Indiana.
And I like the timeout for 2 reasons. Number 1, you ice the shooter a little bit. Number 2, you talk to your team about situational basketball. Worst case, we're down 3, and you really don't need the 3 at that point. Just continue to look at the clock and really work end of game situations.
Abukar, second attempt, on target. It's 83-80.
And they've had a tendency to settle for shots here, but if you're Indiana, you want to look quickly to the post if you can and then take it towards the basket.
Callaway, stop and go. Oh, what a move by Callaway going to the hoop.
And what a great situational play at the end of a game to understand what you need to do as a player with the ball.
But only a 5.5-second difference, shot clock to game clock. We are winding down in regulation, a 1-point San Diego State lead. Heath, 18 to shoot. Strickland, tight defense.
And you don't need a wasted foul right now. Oh, great tip there. Got it back court. He can pick that up.
And Strickland able to grab it.
Boy,
Heath could have grabbed it. It was tipped by Strickland. And a jump ball.
Yeah.
Indiana's got it.
They're going to get the ball back. Absolutely. That's why he could have just... He's waiting for a teammate to come back and circle around him, but unless that ball just trickled off his leg, I believe there was a hand involved.
A mental error from Brandon Heath. Strickland clearly touched the ball, knocked it out of his possession to the backcourt. And Indiana will have a chance to take the lead. 13.3 left. First round action in Utah.
A huge defensive effort right here for Indiana and a bigger mental mistake. Ball goes through the legs and there's a tip. So by rule, the ball goes into the back court. The offensive player can pick it up cleanly. He doesn't think it was tipped. And a great job by Indiana just then with the possession arrow in their favor to recapture the basketball. That is just a huge break for Indiana, making some action from the defensive side of the floor.
Final 13.3. San Diego State 83. Indiana 82. 6 seed against the 11.
And with 3 perimeter players, they can really challenge and go after it and look for a settled outside shot afterwards.
Here we go. Wilmot, 7 seconds left. Tip ball. Vaden's got it. 5 seconds. Lines up and hits. Robert Vaden knocks it down for 3. With 3.3 remaining.
I think the deflection actually helped him get his composure to take that shot, because it was going to turn into a little ragged play, but boy, did he have a step up big.
3.3 left. Vaden, the big shot for the Hoosiers. Indiana trying to keep their season alive, and Robert Vaden hits a huge three-pointer for the Hoosiers.
And look at this reaction. Fabulous from